Welcome to the Bronx. We're in the Bronx today, and I'm thrilled to have Travis and Diallo over on this side. And we are at, can I say, the Future Green Jobs Center?
Future home of the Bronx
Future
Green
home.
Jobs Center.
But let's start with this way. How many days to go?
362 days to go.
362 days to go. How has it felt so far to get to this particular place? And then we'll dig into what's actually happening here. How about that?
It's a marathon and a sprint. There's a lot of work to do. And also, Fordham is doing this faster than a lot of other organizations creating new workforce innovation centers are engaged in. So the timeline is short, so we have a lot of work to get done.
I think just by virtue of looking around, you can tell there's probably some significant work to do. Fordham, what's happening here? How is this happening? How is this possible? And how are you going to transform this space?
Well, it starts with our leadership. President Tanya Tetlow, she's the first woman, first layperson to come in to lead Fordham University in its 184-year history. We've owned this building for about 20 years, and one of the things President Tetlow said to me is there comes a point where if you don't have a plan for this building, you're doing a disservice to the community. So that triggered a conversation with the community about what can we do within this space that helps meet the needs, that helps lift up the community in a thoughtful way. And where we landed on is there's a real hole when it comes to green economy, green job creation in the Bronx. And that dovetails perfectly with Fordham's mission. We're a Jesuit institution at the end of the day. Environmental justice is core to the catechism. It's core to our mission. The last three popes have called on us to act collectively on behalf of a shared climate. And so that's where we landed. So over the last several months, we've been working closely with the community to actually develop plans, because at the end of the day, within the Bronx has been disproportionately impacted by climate change and environmental injustice, high asthma rates, high respiratory illness rates, food deserts, etc. And it's also been disproportionately left behind when it comes to the ascent of the green economy so far. You look across the city landscape over the last 10 years, all of the solar panels that have been installed, only about 3.5% have happened here in the Bronx, and they've been at the major institutions like Fordham. And so we're leaning into our mission at this particular moment and creating a plan with and in full collaboration with the community to actually make an impact in one of the poorest census tracts in the entire country.
Diallo, tell us about Braven Solutions. How did this come to be that you got engaged in this particular conversation? And how is it that Fordham has been working to engage the community and all of the different stakeholders to try to make this space turn into what it imagines itself to be?
Well, we have a history of helping to design and launch some of the most innovative education and workforce development projects in the city and the state. PTech, which are the 6-year high schools, which are scaled globally, the STEAM centers, which are now in Brooklyn and the Bronx, and the new Micron workforce training facility up in Syracuse. But what Fordham is doing is really innovative, especially as a higher education institution, in trying to figure out how to create a new community center that is providing technical job training in new industries that are growing, also connected to clean tech and sustainability. So anytime you have an innovative project that could truly transform a community, and you have a leader like Fordham that is spearheading the initiative, we want to be engaged.
So we're in about a 100-year-old building, originally built as billiard hall, most recently used approximately a generation ago when it was a carpet store. And for the last 20 years, it's sat vacant. So it's been taken down to the studs. Over the coming 362 days, you're going to see a full renovation into really becoming a landmark and a showpiece here in the Bronx of how to build sustainably. And so you're not only going to have green workforce development and entrepreneurship happening inside the building, but the building of the building itself is going to embody those values. Right about here is where the entrepreneurship hub is going to be. So we'll have a desk space within this area for about 3 different consultation suites for the staff who are going to be filling that site. And then when you go up here, this front quadrant of the building is what's going to be the new street-facing cafe. So this entire area from here till about here will be fully and openly accessible to the street. So in the landscape of everything that exists within New York City and New York State right now, there's actually not a dedicated center for that person from the community who has a big idea, but they don't know how to create their LLC. They don't know how to create a business plan. They don't know how to take their passion and turn it into an entrepreneurial enterprise. You're going to have people who you can walk in straight from the street, guide you through that, be able to figure out how to access micro grants and a level of expertise that just doesn't exist anywhere in the area right now. So we know what the needs are. Do you think we have the right workforce to actually accomplish some of these goals?
Well, I mean, I think the Bronx is ready, and people from the Bronx are always ready to create new initiatives, contribute to culture, be pioneers. But from a city and state land standpoint, we're behind the eight ball. We know that they're going to try to put solar panels on every single rooftop in New York City, but a decade ago, New Jersey was number 2 in the nation in terms of solar integration, and New York was not in the top 10, and we're still slowly making our way forward. We know that American Leasing is a new car company that just bought 1,000 EV cars, and the maintenance facility is right here in the Bronx to service those cars, and New York City doesn't really have the workforce to provide to them. And so we're at a point where the economic development and infrastructure are being created, but we're behind times in preparing the workforce to step into those jobs. And it's a unique opportunity for the Bronx Green Jobs Center to be the signature entity that provides that. Last year, New York City released its Green Economy Action Plan. It's the newest version to try to figure out how we're going to grow our green economy. And it called for a green job training facility just like this to be built in every single borough. And this is the first, so this is the Bronx leading the way. This is Fordham leading the way to make sure that Bronx residents are in the front seat of being trained in and stepping into green jobs.
And that's really important because at the end of the day, we do need the workforce to be able to meet really aggressive climate and clean energy goals that at the end of the day aren't just about following the law. It's actually about saving our planet. It's about protecting public health. So we have to achieve these things. This is a really important moment for Fordham and other universities and colleges across the country like us to lean into what our strengths are. We can be the convening for community-wide collaboration. We can be the conveners pulling in public-private partnerships in new and really innovative ways, and to have the opportunity to create that blueprint on everything, not just from the workforce development perspective and preparing trainees, but the build of this site itself, to bring in the best practices of taking old products that would have gone to a dump in the past, but are now being redone as tiles that are going to be the new facade along East Fordham Road. We can create a new standard of best practices when it comes to climate and clean energy in the United States, and it's really exciting for us here at Fordham.
So now we're on the second floor. This is kind of like a little bit of a terrace area, right? So you get a little light, a little air, and a siren as well in the background, which is perfect.
It's our lullaby.
Where is the camp? The campus is, I can see the campus from here, right?
That's right. Campus starts right over here, goes the entire duration that way as well as that way.
Okay. And if I understand correctly, this block right out here that we're on, what is it called again?
This is East Fordham Road,
East Fordham Road.
And we're adjacent to Hoffman.
And how often is it that your students make their way out to this part of campus, and how is this center going to drive them or bring them or connect them to this space?
Well, this space is technically outside of the legendary fences of Fordham. The truth is our students are part of this community. Fordham and our community, the success is inextricably linked. So if you look even across here at the buildings and the houses before you get to campus, many of these are student residences. Our students live in this community. Many are commuters from this community. And so we lean in also on experiential learning here at Fordham. So this semester alone, for instance, we have about 3,500 students across our campuses who are enrolled in a course that directly puts them in partnership with a community-based organization. Sometimes that's a nonprofit, sometimes it's a small business that might need marketing assistance, for instance, connecting with a student from our Gabelli school. So the engagement between the campus community and the broader community is core to who we are, and this building is going to be another piece of that puzzle.
What's worrying you the most about your timeline and your focus and your ambition?
Everything within our control is going great. It's everything out of our control that causes anxiety and keeps us awake at night. In particular, with this project, we're in the process of developing all of the curriculum, all of the partnerships with other higher education institutions, the partnerships with nonprofits and industry hirers who are ultimately going to be who offers career to our trainees. The piece, though, that we don't control here is how tariffs at the federal level might impact the construction process and the costs associated with that process. We don't know how that also influences the labor market. And so those are the pieces that we're still having to navigate, and we're just going to have to pivot in real time. But everything within our control is being planned exceptionally well.
And is this something that Fordham has done before? What is the equivalent project, if any, that Fordham has taken on before like this, or is this really just, this is new territory?
This is new to Fordham. This is brand new to Fordham. There's no blueprint for us to follow here. That's both really exciting and also really terrifying. But at the end of the day, for us, because there's no blueprint, but there is a commitment to our mission and there's a commitment to our community, we've really dove in to make sure to create a new framework of how does the college and the community create a meaningful partnership. And so it's a really exciting project for us, but this is going to be the first of its kind for Fordham University.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And by the way, so how many days is it before we're standing here looking at a completed project with Fordham right off in the distance?
Bronx Green Jobs Center opens in 362 days, and in 362 days time, this will be a outdoor growing space that complements our urban agriculture program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Looking forward to all that's ahead.
Can't wait to have you back.
Tell me a little bit about what brought you and what is the focus for you on the Bronx right now. What projects are you most excited about?
The Bronx is, it's one of these beautiful places that, like any place that is under-resourced and underdeveloped, will have challenges.
Yeah.
So not a lot of money over the years compared to other boroughs have been invested in the Bronx. A lot of the infrastructure from a housing standpoint, from a transportation standpoint, from a energy infrastructure standpoint, haven't been invested in the Bronx. And so when that happens, you have a population that is underserved, and rightfully outraged and demanding their fair share of all of the economic development happening across the city. What Fordham is doing is saying, well, not only are we interested in thinking about what the future of workforce is, and ensuring that our students are qualified, but what about the broader community? How can we create this new institution that people in the Bronx who live here can come here, get some resources, have a good time, maybe launch a business, get trained in these new industries, and work in these companies that are launching right here in the borough. I think that's really the visionary move.
And I think what's really interesting about that is the intersection of, as pointed out, what's going on in the Bronx in terms of economic development opportunities, the linkage with workforce development. We know that Fordham, for many folks in New York City and beyond, Fordham may not feel like a place that's accessible if I'm not in school here, or I don't have the pathway to get connected to this campus. But what I hear is Fordham seeking to not bring down its fences, but to open up its resources and its supports, and the fact that they have planted their Green Jobs Center on East Fordham Road, that they're thinking about other places where it is that they can grow and expand, seems to me to be in alignment with them feeling like they are part of something bigger. And for you and all the different projects you've got your hands in New York City in thinking about making this a better city, I think we're probably in agreement that the community development aspect that connects to workforce development, economic development, is absolutely critical. Are there other places where you're seeing that in the Bronx?
Recently, we just worked to help open the Bronx STEAM Center, which is located right here in the Bronx. The industry partner is Montefiore Medical Center, which is the largest healthcare provider in the Bronx. And Montefiore, which is doing a lot of investment in the Bronx, along with Economic Development Corporation, is doing investment as well. They need a new healthcare talent pipeline. And the Bronx STEAM Center is an opportunity for them to train high school students to go into this area. And what's really interesting about this is you want to make sure that you're creating new educational opportunities for all the different types of students that are available. We know that almost 80% of the students in New York City public schools are living at or below the poverty line. And about 10 years ago, New York City public schools got a grant, a federal grant. It's a socioeconomic integration grant. They said, what would it be like if we got students from different socioeconomic backgrounds and put them into a high quality, state-of-the-art career pathways program with state-of-the-art facilities to train them in these jobs? How can we create a school that recruits from middle schools to do that? And then someone said, well, why focus on one school and multiple middle schools? Let's build a facility that focuses on the high schools that already have the students. So we'll partner with 10 different high schools and bring those students in to get the education and the training and the internships that qualify them to work in the workplace. In the Bronx Green Center, we're having students trained in to become certified nursing assistants, certified medical assistants, cybersecurity, health IT professionals, and that's just the start.
I guess my question would be this: we're on this beautiful campus with nothing but young folks thinking about their pathway forward. Tremendous leadership, education pathways. We're in a borough that needs more support than ever before. And we clearly have innovative ideas and opportunities that we're taking advantage of, or at least beginning steps on. Diallo, you're an expert at this point. I look at you like an expert in thinking about how things
that.
work.
I appreciate the vote of confidence.
What's getting in the way?
In this particular instance, like anytime you're working within a multi-stakeholder model, you're bringing people together from multiple systems. So it's not only the private sector and the public sector and the nonprofits that are coming together. You're also working within a pretty complex city agency system that need to collaborate in ways they haven't before. But now I think that there's a little bit of a way forward, because you have institutions that realize we can't do this on our own. So this spirit and process of collaboration is more collaborative than it's ever been. And I think that's really the way forward. We need more people to specialize in and focus on working across the aisle and across industries and with other organizations. And it's these like multi-stakeholder networks that bring people together where new solutions can be born out of. That really speaks to that. And the company Braven Solutions that I founded is really focused on that solutions elements. It's like, let's not just define the problem, let's figure out what we can really shift that is transformative, that allows us to evolve to a place that's never been for our society.
Well, I think you are doing the work that it takes to get us to a better place. I know, as you pointed out, all the different entities involved in this particular conversation, the not-for-profit sector and social services, higher education, philanthropy, the unions, our employer partners, certainly in a position where they need to keep talent that grows and supports itself over time, at a moment where I think we're all feeling no small sense of urgency about moving forward with a lot coming at us in lots of different ways. I know you're the person we look to find the right path.
Have me a part of
Thank
the
you,
team.
Dia.
Thank you.